So, this is Lancaster Woodturners Weekly Coffee Hour number 135 for January 19th, 2023. My name's John Kelsey. I'll be your moderator as usual. I see 34 on screen. You'll see if you watch this week's recording that I did doing things a little bit different now. I'm recording directly to my Mac. I'm not going through Zoom. That allows me to show the gallery view and the speaker view on the same screen, and I like that. I like to be able to see the people as well as hear the speaker going. So, and I also could say when we started doing this, we didn't record them at all. And around, after about 30 of them, we started recording them and posting them on YouTube. And I recollect that a year ago, I counted it really good if we got 100 views for one of the videos. Well, these days we typically get 250 to 300 views on one of the videos, and sometimes we get over 1,000 views. Not always, but sometimes. And I don't know where those views are coming from. I mean, some of it's you guys, some of it's people who can't make this but like to be part of the coffee hour, and some of it is from who knows. So on the next video, on this one, I'm going to put a thing at the front that invites people who are watching the videos to join us here in Coffee Hour. Because Coffee Hour is free and is open to all woodturners. You don't have to be a member of the Lancaster Club, although we certainly appreciate it if you join the club. And we are at the tail end of dues season, by the way. If there's any of you who are not yet a member of Lancaster Club and would like to join the club, it's $30 for the calendar year, and we'd like to receive that from you before the February meeting, which is February 7th. And after that, the next open shop would be February 11th on the following Saturday morning. So those are the next two events aside from our weekly coffee hour from Lancaster Club. I've been encouraging people who come on here to show people who haven't shown work or haven't shown work for a long time to show us work. We'd like to meet you. We'd like to see what you make. We probably won't even remember your face, but we will remember what you do. So if you have not shown work and you've been on Coffee Hour for a while, please get some pictures together, or just bring some work and hold it up and talk about it. And it'll be in the recording, and then you'll be immortalized out there on YouTube forever. It is show and tell, and I am going to go around and show the rest. And let me see. I've got a couple of things though that are follow-ups that I want to go through quickly. And I'm afraid to do that because these guys aren't set up yet. I'm going to have to do a quick share screen, and I'll probably bugger it up. But let me see what I get. I want to show you a couple of follow-up drawings. Here's one. This is not too big I can't make it any larger than that for some reason. That's a bellmouth drawing that Barry made after our velocity stack discussion last week. I've ordered one of the aluminum ones because this thing's 10 inches across, and that's going to be a hell of a pile of shavings for me to lug out if I turn it out of pear wood. But anyway, I should have attached this to the email this week, and I will attach it to next week's email. We did some research, dug up some academic papers, and discovered that the ideal shape here is an elliptical shape, and that's what Barry drew for us here. So I'm going to send that out. And then there's another one I think I can get to. Yeah, Ernie sent me this on hook and ring tools following our conversations last week, and I'll send that out as well, just showing the difference between a hook tool and a ring tool. So I'm going to end the share. And I'm going to spotlight myself for a second for one last follow-up before I start going to the raised hands. We've been talking a lot about magnet boxes, and several people have come along and told me that they made magnet boxes and they got the magnets in wrong, and and that's true. When you get started in this, you're going to do that. Here's the secret to not doing that. This is a magnetic pole detector. The thing is, you don't care which is north and which is south. You just care that you can tell one from the other. So this has got a magnet in one end and a magnet in the other end, and the red end is I call north and the other end I call south. And I can use that to immediately tell what polarity of any magnet is and follow my own logic without having to worry about whether it's north or it's south or whatever it is. This will immediately tell me. And when I'm assembling a magnet box, I usually stack the magnets on this end. They'll all be the same polarity if they're sticking together on this end, and I can stick them in a hole and go to the next one and the next one and the next one And then when I want the opposite, I stick them on this end and go from space to space. So that's the tool I use to keep track of polarity in making magnet boxes. And really that's all just a plug for my club presentation coming up in May, when I'm going to give you all the secrets of magnet boxes, including a chip flying demo where we don't know where the magnets are, but we figure it out using magnets on the outside of the wood and then try and turn in between them. So that's the pitch. And now I'm going to remove the spotlight. That didn't lead anybody to ask any questions or say anything else yet, did it? Don't see no hands or flutterings. Okay. I'm going to go down. Ted Latrell got left over last week. Some of you guys go on a bit long, and I got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to show. So if I have to stop you, I will, but I think we'll just be able to let everybody have the time they need. It looks like about the right number. Ted Latrell, what do you have today?
Okay, well, let me bring up the share and I'll show you. There we go. Okay, so I wanted to do this project for a while. We had a little space next to our end of our couch, and my wife wanted a little tea table. That's not the top of it, but it just turned out that the post, and I wanted to do sliding dovetails on the bottom. Those are the ones I asked you about, John.
Yeah.
So I did that. I found that a little more difficult than you'd think, at least for me. I ended up doing the side legs by hand because you have to match the curve. If you did them on the router bit, you didn't get the curve, and it left it was away from the edge of the pedestal there.
You can make a flat on the pedestal is another way of doing that.
Yeah, I know, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do it the traditional way, just to see how it went. Well, and it's hard to do, but it's fun.
Well, traditionally, the way to do it is just what you did, hand tools. So you got it.
Yeah, I had no choice. So then I turned the top. This top is 19 inches in diameter. There's a kind of a story behind that, though. The first one I did was 18 inches in diameter, and I glued them all up, cut the round, and tried to get it flat. I've done charcuterie boards and things like that up to 13, 14 inches and got them what I consider to be perfectly flat. When it got to 18 inches, I had a hard time getting it flat, but I didn't like it. So I cheated. I glued another piece of boards together to 19 inches or 19 and a half. My son has a 20-inch planer. So I took it down to the planer, planed it flat, then put it on the lathe and turned the edge.
The way to do it.
Well, it was a lot easier, let's put it that way. So that's the spot that it goes in. We needed that little place between the chair and the stairs, and that's how it is finished.
Nice piece.
So you notice the little round disc on the bottom. So I had a problem. I didn't, some of these designs, you look at the legs and they had pieces that extended out 2 or 3 inches, but I thought it looked funny, so I didn't do it. Well, guess what? It doesn't stay stable on the carpet. That's a very dense carpet, and it still moved. So I had to turn the little disc on the bottom to distribute the weight, and that works pretty good. So.
Nice piece. Any questions for Ted?
I got one more to show.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Do it.
Does anybody know what that is? There's a hint on the right there.
That's a knitting basket.
Nope. Keep guessing.
Big spool thread. The big spools.
Well, it's no, not for thread either.
That's a cord holder then.
My wife's a quilter and an avid quilter, and she does a lot of bindings, and the binding is what you sew on the edge of the quilt. And when you're doing that, you need it to they all complain about apparently keeping the binding in a position where you can keep going and make it a smooth transition. So you may have seen yarn bowls.
Yeah.
So this is similar to a yarn bowl, except I call it a binding bowl, because I made it so that the center can come out and she can wrap the binding around. It's just an example. Wrap the binding around it, and it just unspools as she uses it.
Very nice. Very nice.
That's all. That's all I have to show anybody, unless anybody has any questions. Okay, let me get out of that. You got me.
That's an excellent project. I've got a bunch of quilter friends that are going to receive something like that for Christmas next year. Thanks so much for putting it. I'm always looking for something unique and that quilters will actually use. That is perfect.
That's exactly.
Well, my wife went to a quilting meeting in Barrie, Vermont, a couple nights ago, and she brought that and showed them, and she told me she could have come home with several orders. She says, "Oh, is you going to make me one?" She said, "No." Anyhow, it was fun project.
Nice work.
The table.
Nice work. Thank you, Ted. Tom White. I think you're muted, Tom. There you go.
Okay, that fixes that. I have one piece that I want to show that I found in a magazine. That would be this. This is an open form with a metallic finish on it that I found in a magazine. I have to credit the guy that came up with it. His name is Pat Carroll, an Englishman. And leading into that, I'm not sure. My wife actually doesn't like this very much. She said it looks ugly. But anyhow, I tried to turn this just because it's an interesting thing. It's just fairly plain wood. And my favorite gesso base and Saxon silver brushed on with a fingertip and cut burrs and everything to give it a kind of a metallic look to it. And it's basically black inside. But this sort of leads into a shameless, I want to punch up this magazine. It's English, and it looks backward on my screen. Can you read it from your side?
We can read it fine. It's correct.
That's just silly. But anyhow, this is an English magazine. It's printed in England that I really like. It's a little bit expensive, but this is where I got the idea for the thing. In that magazine, I really like this magazine. It's a bit expensive. It's English, but I'd like to suggest if people go ahead and subscribe to it, because it goes actually in further detail in a lot of these very different projects for people to try. All the steps on how these people describe their work is far more varied than the American Woodturner does. So I'd highly recommend looking into buying and getting a subscription to this magazine. Sometimes the mail is a little bit funny, but it's really a good magazine if you want to possibly subscribe to it.
It's published by
Tom?
It's published by Guild of Master Craftsmen Publications out of Lewes, England, and if you either look them up or you look up Woodturning magazine, you'll find it and you can order it online.
Right, it's a really good magazine, highly recommended by me.
I know all this because I worked for
Tom,
those people for 2 years back in the 90s.
Yes, somebody asked a question.
The guy who was the editor passed away very young.
Yeah.
And I've seen they have constant guest editors. They haven't come to a full editor again, which makes me wonder about the future of the magazine.
Well, hopefully they keep it up. But they have had guest editors last, maybe six or eight issues.
They'll figure that out. They're pretty good at that. It may take them some time, but they'll figure it out.
Do you want to volunteer, John?
No, I worked for those people for 2 years in the early 90s. I don't think I'm going to ever work for them again.
Okay. Well, I like the magazine. I can't say don't know the people that are behind it.
Well, I do. It's an interesting company. They publish a bunch of magazines, and they run an insurance program for independent tradesmen in England, guys with ladders on their truck, and and they publish these magazines as all part of it. Their outfit is called Guild of Master Craftsmen Publications, GMC. They publish a lot of books as well. They bring a lot of U.S. books to England, and they originate a lot of books and take them over. So, yeah, I agree with Tom. It's a good mag, and it's a good one to subscribe to.
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Toby, I'm going to skip you for a second because we've got some people we haven't heard from that I'd like to hear from, and we'll come back to you. Is that okay with you? Okay. Kathy Gower. Kathy has shown us magnificent work in the past, and she's a relatively new turner too. And you're muted, Kath. There you
Okay. I started out just, 2 years now I've been turning, and I started out in a pool house closet that my husband let me take the pool supplies out. And so I couldn't turn in the winter or when it was really cold or really hot in North Carolina, because I just had to open the doors to be able to turn in there. So it was cramped, no space, but I made it work. And so my husband last year for Christmas told me I could order a she shed. So I started getting busy on that. And this spring, had it delivered, and this fall I have finally gotten it halfway like I want it. And I'm not only a woodworker, but I'm also a craftsman that I just work with all mediums. So you'll see part of my craft now, my she shed is craft on one side and woodworking on the other. And I was working on trying to figure out how I could do that without having wood shavings and sawdust covering the craft side. So I made up this little photo session to show you what I did. So I'm going to show you now.
Okay, we're seeing your Rikon there. Oh, you got a little movie.
Yeah, Jeff and I made that stand. Here's my she shed that I had to start with.
Good looking, good. How big is the shed, Kathy?
12 by 20.
That's big.
Twelve by 20 is making some of us jealous.
Yeah, Angelo works in half that space. It looks like you do too. You put a wall up in there. What for?
Right.
2 different rooms, 2 different crafts?
That's the room for the one side is crafts and one side is woodworking.
Keep the chips out of the paint. You dudes over there want me to switch to in a minute?
Did you have any problems with zoning?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Did you have any zoning problems?
No, I didn't.
Oh, that looks great. Looks like you could move in there and live there happily ever after.
She did.
I can in a second get to it. Wait till she's done.
Who did the stained glass, Kathy?
Suddenly that's a workshop. That's amazing.
That's beautiful.
Great stuff.
And that's it.
Who did the stained glass?
That's kind of been a joke. I was trying to figure out how I could put coverings on the windows and not make be a mess with the sawdust and all. That is a plastic shower curtain that I found that had this stained glass design, and I cut it just so it would look like the same on every window, and it only took like 3 curtains to do the whole house. And so now I've just got them on little spring rods. When I'm working, I have them, I just take them, pull them off, and when I'm through, I stick them back in the window. So it's been a lot of fun. I bet it's the only workshop you've ever seen with a chandelier in it.
Yeah, except for the guy I used to know who had a table saw in his dining room.
The electrician really gave me a hard time with that one. He said, "You are definitely the first one I've ever put a chandelier in a woodworking shop." I said, well,
that's on the craft side,
right?
Where do you store your lumber, your wood, your materials, Kathy?
Up in the loft, and also those cabinets. I bought cabinets that were deep enough that I could store wood in the cabinets. And like I said, I'm small. I don't have a lot of stock. So what I can store in there, I store, and then I just stop.
What do you do with all the chips?
Well, I have most of the time I just throw them away.
I mean, what do you put them in the garden or in the trash?
In the trash.
Okay. Any other questions or comments for Kathy?
Very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm envious. I want one of those sheds too.
Well, it has definitely made turning a lot more fun, having a little bit of space to spread out.
That's for sure.
It's seasonal, or no longer seasonal, but it's all
Right.
year.
Yeah, that's the big deal.
The best thing, he did let me put heat and air in this one, so I can. It is house worthy. I mean, I told him if he makes me too mad, I'll just take my mattress out there and sleep.
What
You
size,
can't get mad at him now, though.
what size was your original closet?
You tell him. I don't remember. I don't know how big it was. It had to be about.
It was about
5.
4 foot by 4 by 8, maybe 5 by 8 at the most. I don't know. It was very small.
Kathy, what kind of crafts do you pursue?
You name it, and I'll try it. I don't do a whole lot of anything more than one time. It's just I'll see something that I like, and I'll do it.
But you don't do stained glass.
I don't do stained glass, but I've often.
You guys got to log
I have
into the
thought
number I
about
gave you
trying
on
it,
that pad.
and I do have a friend that does it and said she would help me. So that's not out of the realm of possibilities.
So where did you find the shower curtain with stained glass in it?
Ollie's.
Ah,
I think they were $1.99 a piece.
Anybody else? Thank you very
hey,
much,
John,
Kathy.
I think sometime it would be fun if we all made one whole session about our shops and all brought a picture, just one picture of our shop. It would be fun.
The other thing that would be fun in that same vein is all bring a picture of the oldest, closest to first turning that you got. I don't have my first turning, but I have stuff from 40 years ago, 50 years ago.
We'd have to make sure that it's a picture of not the cleaned up shops. If we ask for a picture, everybody will clean the shop up. That's not what I want to see.
No, we want. I see here now the dudes in the room here have gotten us up on screen, so I'm going to put the spotlight on them for just a second here, and I'll tell you why in a second. Now, that's me being seen from one of our video cameras. We've recently swapped out the ATEM switcher that we had for the next version up, the Mini Pro, so that gives us access to the software. that allows for preview views, and so Ziegler and Caddick are over there setting that up, and you're looking at me through one of the cameras. Are you going to switch to a different camera now, you guys? There you go. That's a view of the shop right now from another camera. So can you show what you're looking at, what your switching setup looks like? That's the overhead cam. You don't have a camera on it, okay. You can take the one that was looking at me because I'm going to go back. So what we are doing is improving our setup here and demoing that it works, which was kind of important for us. The club has agreed to an upgrade this year where we can get ourselves a multi-view look at what's available on all 4 HDMI inputs, which before we were guessing, which was okay when it was me doing it. I have enough experience to know what it's going to show. But for anybody who comes in, it's a complete mystery. So now they're going to try and show you what the setup looks like now.
So Doug hasn't taken his 4-foot cold chuck home yet?
No. I think he's leaving it. I think he's, not only that, I think he's brought in a Jameson hollowing rig that we can set up as well. But, the lathe is turned sideways. The shop is kind of chaotic right now. There we see it. So which one is, I see your multi-view monitor is the little one down there. Little one in the middle. Hot stuff. So Bert, this was mostly, we did this based on what you explained about which ATEM unit does what, and you're absolutely right. So there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that multi-view has been a godsend for me as well. You'll find more and more as you use it, you get more and more comfortable with it. And if you get a little more creative and you pick up one of these, I don't know if you can see that.
Well, no, I got the spotlight on the dudes. I'm going to take it off. Just a sec, Bert.
Yeah.
What are you showing me? Okay.
Okay, this is a stream deck, right? So
okay.
That's the next evolution. Once you've got the multi-view where you can see it now, you can take this. It's on a cord, so you can take it away from the ATEM Mini, and you can switch by just pushing buttons.
That would be in your own shop, but this is our club setup, so there's always an operator at the desk. So it's
but that's what I'm saying. You can set all your macros up so that you can, when you finally, like this is an evolution. You're using it by hand now, but now you want to make it so anybody can do it. I can set this up, and anybody, even we have a demonstrator come in. I set this on the lathe, and he wants to show what he wants to show. He has total control. Plus, you still have control on the computer. So that's just an evolution of letting people do it. And you can set macros up to do specific things once you get comfortable with the software.
Is that a Stream Deck or a Steam Deck? Stream or Steam?
That's a Stream Deck. Stream Deck.
Okay, and what's it cost?
This one I think cost me $120, and there's another one that's got 30 buttons instead of 15. But this one here works for me. So,
okay.
But it takes a little bit to set it up. But once it's set up, then anybody using it just punches buttons. They don't have to know anything technical. So you need a technical support once it's built. But I haven't changed this now for a year.
Okay, well,
and I've got a whole bunch of buttons.
We'll look into that next and learn some more about it. I'm gonna take the spotlight back off you.
Yeah.
You guys, Peter, John, you got anything you want to show us or say, or should we just carry on here? Okay, we're just going to keep going. Since we showed Kathy, we're going to go to Jeff, who's Kathy's cousin. You guys are cousins, aren't you?
Brother and sister.
Well, you're brother and sister. Who knew? And you're cousins to Ernie that's what it is. Is that right?
That's great.
Yeah. Spotlight's on you, Jeff. What are you going to show us?
Finished up a couple of projects this week. A bird cage awl. Very handy tool, but we made those in a clinic with our Wilmington Area Woodturners Association. And we'd made a straight handle, but I came back and made a palm handle that works real good.
Now, what do you use that for?
Just as an awl. I mean, it's center holes or
okay. Yeah.
Basically center holes, but
nice piece, nice handle.
Thank you. I had made some of these jars. Actually, I didn't make the jar. The jar is a yogurt jar. I made the lids for them. And this week I made a finish and put in them mineral oil and beeswax. And that's the finish that's actually on this lid. I thought it's a really good finish, but.
Uh-huh. So what's holding that lid on?
I have an O-ring.
Ah. Good idea.
And where do you get your O-rings, Jeff?
Just hardware store. I just took the lid in and found one that was the size I needed.
Cool.
And then I had a piece of persimmon, and it was cracked and had wormholes in it. And this week I decided I wanted to just practice and turn a bowl, and I picked up this piece of scrap wood and I turned the bowl.
Nice. That's persimmon?
But it turned out, so it was looking so good, I said, well, I think I'm going to finish it. So the wormholes are filled with sawdust and CA glue. The cracks are coffee grinds and CA glue.
And you said that's persimmon?
Yes, it is.
Is that about the biggest piece you could get?
This was a limb. It was actually a fork where two limbs came up or off the trunk. And the grain was really nice, and I got to turning it, and it was taking a great shape, I thought. So I went ahead and finished it out. But
how is the wood to turn?
Great. Turned excellent. It had been laying around the shop probably for 6-8 months. And it had dried. It wasn't really wet. It was pretty dry when I started turning it. But once I got under the bark layer or peeled the bark off, that's when I found the wormholes. I actually killed the worm. The worm was still in there.
Can you show us closer the coffee grind fill that you used? That's interesting.
It works well. I just took used coffee grinds and let them sit out and dry.
I just gave you guys co-host controls.
And then just rub them in the crack and then fill it with CA
full
glue.
meeting controls now.
But it accented the crack, and I'm like, well, that looks pretty good.
You can see it at the bottom of Jeff's screen there. You got it all.
Is that a piece of metal that you have, your identifier on the bottom of your bowl there?
No, it is. Kathy found these, a guy that lives in her town. It's a laser CNC machine. It's just a little wooden plug. It's a wooden coin. So I just drilled it out with a Forstner bit and glued it in.
Could you send the name of that outfit to us, because that looks interesting. It's a piece of wood, then it's not metal.
Yeah, they work really well. Kathy's probably got the information, but she can post it on the chat.
Put it in the chat. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll post it. It's just the, what kind of wood is that called, Jeffrey? They're just like they're about the same thickness as maybe a dime.
Baltic birch.
That little birch stuff that they use with laser. And I was telling him about them. I had seen them in Wilmington, some coins that a guy had done, and asked him about if he could make them. He said, I can make any size you want. Just tell me what you want on it. So I found a lathe, and I sent him this picture of what I had envisioned, and he came up with them, and I was tickled to death. They turned out really well, and he's very, very reasonable. If you look online at some of those things, they're pretty expensive to order a sheet of those, and he can do a sheet for way less than I had gotten them anywhere else. Could find them anywhere else.
Dr. Bob has those that he does too, so a lot of people use that kind of thing. It's a good idea. Yeah.
The finish on this bowl was some of the mineral oil and beeswax, which I thought it gives it a really good sheen to it.
Nice. Nice.
While I've got the mic here, I've got a question. The bedan tools that we were talking about last week, has anyone made any? And if so, what size? What angle grind did you put on it, and how long a piece of high-speed steel?
Well, I've made beating and parting tools. I prefer that to a bedan, but I use 8 by 8 by 200 millimeter high-speed steel. The angle I use, I measured it just the other night for a demo. Somebody was asking me. I was surprised. It was 60 degrees. But you can get those bars of steel on Amazon for about. Usually, you can get 4 of them for about they're about $4 a piece.
And is that already?
The 8 millimeter by 8 millimeter is 5/16, which is just a shade smaller than the 10 millimeter, which is more traditional size 3/8. But I find I really prefer, for the beating and parting tool, I really prefer the smaller 8 by 8.
When you call that a beating and parting tool, has that got a bevel on both sides or just on one side?
Yes, bevel on both sides.
So it's like
it's a square skew, you might say.
A square skew, yeah. Is that metal already heated, already heat treated and all that? All you're doing is grinding it?
It's treated.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's used in the metal industry as a heavy duty parting tool on a metal lathe.
So that's just tool steel that same as you would use on a metal lathe. In other words, tool steel blank.
Yeah, high speed steel.
High speed steel. Okay.
How far are you recessing the metal into your handles?
No more than 2 inches. If you look at any bowl gouge, you replace the handle on any bowl gouge, they rarely go more than maybe 1.5 inches up to maybe 2.5 inches if it's a 5/8, but probably 2 inches is going to hold it.
And a ferrule, you're going to make a metal ferrule on that, like copper?
Always,
yeah.
Always.
And do you use copper for that or brass? What do you use?
I tend to use old compression fittings. I swapped a few sink fixtures out in bathrooms in our house, and you just wind up with tons and tons of, I guess they're about 3/4 inch across, and they work well for almost any size tool except for an awl. Too big for an awl.
I just cut pieces off a length of copper plumbing pipe. It seems to work too.
That's what I do.
Thanks.
Okay.
3/4 inch and 1 inch copper tubing works great.
Yeah.
Does anybody have a laser burner themselves that they use to signature the bottom of bowls, etc.?
Yeah, I use a Laser Pecker Pro.
Okay, Pecker Pro, is that what you're using?
Yeah, it is so simple. You just use your cell phone or your iPad. Any image you can bring up on the screen, you can laser it. So I use that for signing all of my bowls.
I've known a number of guys who have those. They're just a couple of $100. So, yeah. Toby Booter, what do you got today?
I just wanted to say last Saturday I was at the Hands-On in Lancaster, and it's a nice little facility you have there, and I had a great time, helped a few people, and enjoyed it. That's all.
Well, I got some video of that Ziegler shot that I'll, if we hit a wall here later on, I'll bring it up. It's in 6 little short videos, and rather than show them all chunkily, I'll probably string them together and show them to you next week. Just to continue to promote the Saturday Open Shop. It's been so far extremely successful, and we invite everybody to try it. Barry has a follow-up, and then I'm going to go over to Bert and Stu. I know they got some stuff, but let's go to Barry first. Barry, go for it.
I've called this pursuit of mine Moby Dick just because it's kind of like, nobody else can see the basis for the obsession, and yet I had this obsession with making a spiraling jig. And here's something I made yesterday. It's a piece of holly that has some shortcomings in it, branches not and such. Anyhow, I'm going to show a video of making the last two cuts in it so you can see the jig in operation. And I have a couple of still photos explaining the most important aspect of it. Can everybody see this?
We haven't got the video yet. We just got a notice that says you're sharing screen. We're not seeing any video.
So you can't see the still video, the still picture either?
We're not seeing it. All we're seeing is your shared screen. I'm going to stop the share. I don't know why that is. But I'll get that. If you sent me the video as a low res, I'll get it from you and we'll get it into the club computer and then we'll show it from there next week if that's okay with you.
Sure.
Okay. Sorry about that. Bert and Stu, who's going first here? Or you guys are showing?
Well, I gotta run a video so let Stu do the introduction, and I'll share. I'm gonna share my screen while he's talking about it.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, I got a couple of things to chat about. First, I've got a little piece that we're gonna go right to this. Okay, that's fine. We'll go with this.
No, go ahead and talk, Stu. You just tell me when to start it.
Okay, well, let's start this first, Bert. Do that.
Okay, it's only a minute long.
This is a piece of epoxy that I have a client that brings these to me. They're a blank that's poured into a ice cream pail. And I turn them out for him and end up with some kind of a bowl. I've done about 6 or so. But there's a few shots of what it's like to be turning epoxy. And, without the wood being in there too, you just got streams of epoxy all over the place, and it makes a hell of a mess. But the end result is pretty rewarding. I'm quite happy with what we really turn out with this. So.
Hold on just 1 second. Okay, that is pretty fantastic. Now, I'm seeing the video. Are you guys all seeing the video? Give me a wave of hand if you're seeing his video.
Yes.
Okay. But you guys over there, you're not seeing his video.
That's it. That's the whole video.
That's an awful lot of stringy epoxy flying around, that's for sure.
Yeah, it really is. It makes a hell of a mess, eh?
That negative rake, easy wood tool there.
Yeah, it is. That I find one of the best to cut this with, and I had a lot of trouble with one of them. And next time I'm going to do something different with it, try and another experiment I want to give the world, see if I can get it coming off a little nicer at first, because I got a lot of chips out of this one. It just kind of exploded on me a bit, and was unhappy with how it was going. I expected to lose it, but I managed to clean it up. But as far as tooling on it, the easy wood tool I find works the best, the carbide tips. I use the detail one and the round nose.
Hey, Stu, you're not using negative rake, right?
No.
But how do you get streams? I just turned one this week, and I cannot use straight cutter. I have to use a negative rake. Otherwise, it chips out like crazy. I'm surprised you got as nice a finish on a straight carbide cutter.
Yeah, I sometimes get a bad chipping, and that's what I was talking about earlier there. And I almost blame it on it happens at first, Jim. It is the first cut on that resin. I think the outside is a little harder, and it's brittle. And also, I think it's cold. So the next one I do, I'm going to spin it on the lathe before I cut I'm going to use my heat gun and just warm it up a bit. I've got a little bit more temperature there. I think it might soften it a little bit, but I don't want to go too far because I've had an experience with the resin getting too thin and too warm. It gets real sloppy and gummy. You can't do anything with it. But just to heat a little bit, I think that might make a difference. So,
how long was it cured since you poured it?
Oh, I think it's been a few weeks. This guy's done this like,
yeah.
He brought them to me before Christmas, and they were sitting around in his shop for probably another month or two. So it's probably 2 months old.
I think that's part of the problem. It really hardens. I've been having some trouble shops cold. I might try your idea of warming it up because I ended up getting something nice, but I had to go to a negative rake scraper and just go easy on it, which took a long time.
Well, that's it. It takes too long. Eh? You want to try and get, and I'm getting paid to do this. I don't want to spend too much time. But
I turned some last week on a project because I had to turn it out of where I had it, too many bubbles. And I used my regular bowl gouge, and I was getting those same stringy offshoots there, which seemed to cut okay.
Yeah, you can use bowl gouge, and I have done that too. But like I said, I've had more success with the easy wood. I'm not a firm believer in that tool. I hardly ever use it. I think the only time I use it is on the epoxy. I don't use it on wood.
That's a carbide tool?
Yeah.
What's the shape of the head cutting?
Round nose or the detailed one that comes to a point?
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Did you say you made pails out of that?
No, I made bowls. Some fancy vases and bowls, but he uses it, an ice cream pail as mold for the resin. It's just leftover resin. This guy does charcuterie boards, and he always has a little bit left over. He just pours it in the bucket and it fills up. So as you notice in the first picture, it looks like layers, and it's all different colors, and so it's it's all, there's never two the same. So
do you have any pictures of your finished products?
Yeah, I probably do. That's what I could find here.
While he's looking for his pictures, we were talking about the little discs on the bottom. When we take a look there, you can see the laser image on there. That's my Laser Pro. I sign all my work with my Laser Pro now, and I can make that any size I want. I can put names or type stuff in and do whatever I want with that. That's just the base of my ball. This is my turning project this week. It's an urn. It's a golf ball urn. And you can put the information on the little flag or whatever. And so I finally figured out how to make a ball that's about 8.5 or 9 inches diameter. Volume's a little over 200 cubic inches. And we had to put a little bit of green on the bottom here, so it looks like the final putt.
No.
That's why it looks like a transparent bottom, because you're green. You're
green screening it.
Yeah, I've got a green screen, but see that's
well, no, that's the strangest. That's the strangest effect
I've
ever seen.
Good management. Yeah, well, the thing is it lets the wood show through without distracting you from everything else. That's my good luck, not my good management. That's for sure.
That's pretty bizarre. I don't even quite understand how you did that.
That took a lot of work.
Oops. Anyway, that's all I had.
You got anything else you're going to show us here, Bert, or was that yours? Have we heard from
That
you?
was mine. That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm done.
Rich Colvin, you had your hand up and then you took it down. What do you got?
I just wanted to put out to the group, I'd like to understand what everyone's doing for kaleidoscopes. I've had some requests for those for Christmas, and I'm interested in, your design ideas and also where you got the kits from, where were good companies were that.
I'll tell you, first of all, you want to get in touch with Jim Duxbury, who you often comes to this group, although he's pulling back a little bit in order to have more time turning. He makes fantastic kaleidoscopes, and in every style and shows them widely. He's the guy to talk to.
Okay.
Anybody else? Kaleidoscopes? Okay.
Hey, John, if you got some time, I do have a little ladder I turned out a London plane to show, but don't need to if other guys got something to do.
You got the floor right now. I've got some videos from Ziegler that I could show, but I'd rather string them together into one video than fumble around.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So go ahead.
I got it. Okay. You just see it?
Yeah. Is that the one you had last week?
Did I show it last week?
Well, you showed us.
I don't know whether it was. I showed it to the club, or did I show it here?
I don't know, but it wasn't finished the way this is. Anyway, that's beautiful wood.
No, that's London plain, and I put walnut square foot on. I love it. And then I put the center up through it as a feature. And this London plain was pretty green, and I love the way it twists, as you can see in this picture, pretty good.
Now that's
of course, that makes it interesting. Put dried walnut on it, and it has to decide where it's going to go. But and here's the bottom. I have fun with those. So yeah,
very nice.
Yeah, London plain I love. So I'm going to try to get some more wood. It came from the Barnes Arboretum, still pretty green. So.
Jim, no offense, but that looked like a funnel repair there that you did.
I was thinking the same thing.
No, wait a minute. This is how creativity happens. When you yeah, no, I had originally put maple in it, and I hated it, so I drilled it out again with a Forstner bit and put walnut in. Okay. But dude, you're pulling my chain. I just call it creativity. Okay. I forget. I usually grab my plates by a tenon rather than a mortise. And when I do them with a mortise, I forget that I'm 3/8 of it in, and I shape it out, and I figure out how to fix it.
Been there and done that.
I figured so. I think it looks good, though.
Oh, yeah.
Only a wood turner would call it a funnel repair. So
yeah.
Don Smith, what do you got today? We can see you.
Right. On the prelude, before we started the meeting, I showed one or two people what I did a demonstration last night at the club. And I thought I'd just show everybody else who had come on.
Whoa.
What I made.
How big is that? I can't tell from the picture, from the scene.
It's 3 inches square.
Ah.
Or it was a 3-inch, well, it's 4 inches by 3 inch square.
Bring it back into the picture so we can see it all. There you go.
What species of flower is that, Don?
It's a tulip.
I thought so.
Tulip. And there's another one which I took to show the club before I started.
And those are inside-out turnings, aren't they?
They are involuted turning, inside-out turning.
Everybody.
Sometime you need to do a video for us.
Yeah.
I've got photographs which were taken last night, not tonight, and I've got them actually on a disc here, but there's so many. What I'll do, I'll break out some and take them at the different stages and show it sometime in the near future for you.
That will be cool. We like that.
That's what I did at the demonstration.
That'd be quite a demo.
Beautiful.
And the only tool I used was a 3/8 spindle gouge.
There you go. There's another vote for the 3/8 spindle gouge as the universal turning tool.
Anyway, thank you for that. I thought I'd show you.
Okay.
When you say 3/8, you're measuring inside flute, aren't you?
Yes.
That's a 1/2-inch spindle gouge for us over here.
That's right.
Ours is, no. We call it 3/8 because we measure the outside, not the flute.
Oh, wait a minute.
Most
you measure the flute.
Most of the vendors
I've got a half-inch.
most of the vendors
half-inch.
measure the rod that it came out of, and they sell it according to to that size, which it never is.
Yes. Yeah. But I have got, it is the smaller one, it is the 3/8 bar. Or,
Oh.
if you measure the flute, it's probably 1/4 of an inch.
Yes.
Brian Johnson, you got your hand up. What do you got?
I have an example of a kaleidoscope I made with Jim Duxbury's plans. I'm not sure if I can show it successfully or not, but I can try it. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can see you and hear you. We got a spotlight on you. Give it a try.
Let me share a screen and see if I can pull it up.
Yes, you got it. Now you've lost your, you've muted yourself. I have to unmute yourself. You're still muted. You got to unmute.
Okay, I'm on.
There you go.
Okay, I'm on. Okay, sorry, I went too far here. These are some other things. There. So that's the kaleidoscope I made a few years ago with Jim Duxbury in one of his classes.
And how many mirrors are in that?
There's 3.
And
they have to be the mirrors that have the surface on the top side rather than the bottom side. Otherwise, you get a reflection.
And what's the beadwork or whatever is in the business end there?
Here?
Yeah.
It's a series of cylinders that we turned, and this little thing in the middle here is a PVC cylinder that's filled with little doodads, reflective things, and then we put some plastic on the top, and then on the bottom glued it, and then filled it with glycerin. The lens on the top here is actually material from you buy in the old fluorescent lights had those Fresnel type of covers on them.
Yeah.
Cut those off with the lathe and cut little cylinders, and you can glue them to the PVC section.
And what does that do? Bring in more light or magnify it?
It diffuses it so you don't see any specific items, that when you stick them in there, you have all these little things are little beads and little jewelry bits. And if you didn't have the diffusion, you'd see those actual bits.
Yeah.
This way you just got kind of a color and a abstract shape.
Nice.
Well, you said the mirrors had mirror on one side. Explain that. A mirror I thought had a black back and a shiny front side.
Well, the mirrors run on the longitudinal portion of the cylinder here. And it's a triangle inside that you have the mirror placed into, but there has to be a front reflecting mirror. Otherwise, you get a shadow. Most mirrors have the glass in the front and then the reflecting surface on the back side. This one you have to have a mirror that has the reflective material on the front side. Unfortunately, they're pretty prone to scratching but of course it's inside the kaleidoscope, so it's not going to get scratched.
Where are you, Brian?
I'm in Port Townsend, Washington.
I thought so.
I'm the West Coast, left coast.
Yep, I thought so.
Where do you get that kind of mirror material?
Jim Duxbury knows. I don't remember. It's probably available on Amazon or someplace. It's a really thin caliber mirror. It's like really, it's only 1 millimeter or 2 thick, and it's very prone to breaking. He had some kind of a jig he made up where he could break them linearly without sacrificing the whole piece.
I'll try and get him back on, and he can tell us more about that.
He can tell you all about it.
Yeah, I'll give him a call and see what we can get.
Brian, can you explain again about the prism?
Prism?
Yeah, from the fluorescent shield or lens. What do you do with that? Is that one big piece, or do you cut it up into little fragments to go inside as the?
Well, you remember when you had the old fluorescent lights that you had,
right.
there's a design on the surface of it that diffuses the light. We just cut circles out of that. And then you glue those to the bottom side to about a 1/2 inch length of PVC pipe. That's about maybe 2 inches in diameter. And then you glue that to the bottom, and then you fill it up with your little doodads. And then you glue the top, a clear piece of plexiglass on the top of on the other side of the PVC. Then you drill.
So there's a piece of a PVC pipe inside.
This is
the Kaleidoscope, and you glue the prism on one side and the clear glass on the outside there.
On the other side, yeah. And then you drill a little hole. Once the glue is dry, you drill a hole in the cylinder, and you squirt some glycerin in there with a syringe to fill it up. Try not to get any bubbles in it.
All right.
That's what lets the stuff float around. Yeah.
Right. So it doesn't plop around. It kind of floats.
Yeah. Very, very nice.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'll get more information from Jim and see if he can get him on to talk about that a bit. And with that, I'm going to kill your share, Brian, because we're past 11 o'clock. And formally, coffee hour is over. Thank you all very much for your eager participation. Very enjoyable today. We are going to stay on a bit because we're going to do some more video experiments here and work out some stuff. So anybody who's going to leave, go ahead. Anybody who's going to stay because we're going to do video experiments like Barry, do that. And I'm going to take a little break here and I'll be right back.
Right. See you all next week, everyone.
Whoa.